Hi, welcome to Creative Crafts and I'm Kathy. Today I'm going to make a video on showing you how to make paper clay out of toilet paper. My last video, how to make paper clay, I used recycled newspaper or old bills, shredded up. But this one, it's much different with toilet paper. You don't have to shred it because once the toilet paper gets wet, it starts breaking apart automatically. The newspaper takes a little bit more time, and then it comes out in more clumpy than, like you can see here. This is my wings that I'm making out of the paper. They're still drying. I will make a video about how to do that too. But right now, this is one roll right here. Usually I use about, you could say like 5 rolls. You want to do it all. You can just do like this, you know, makes it faster. I know this is going to be stupid to say, but when you use toilet paper, please use unused toilet paper. I know, I just don't want people to misunderstand me. Make sure it's unused. It all depends on how much you need. I need a lot, so because I'm constantly making things at the moment. And with this one, you can make like maybe even sculptures with it because it's really it's nice and fine. Let me add some water. The amount I make usually, this is a 10-liter bucket. It's an old bucket. I didn't buy it. As you see, I'm recycling. As big as this is, I usually try to fill this up with toilet paper or with normal paper, and I use around 1 gallon of hot water. A lot of people say you don't need to unravel it, but I noticed that it's easier to use the blender that I use for the paper because it's not so big clumps. And then it dissolves much faster when it's like this. I mean, I think. For me it does. This is 3 rolls right now. So let's pour the water in and you'll see how fast that goes down. This is hot water. Like I said, about 1 gallon. Get my spoon. This is about 1 batch right here. You just gotta let it sit for a little bit. 9. There's definitely enough water in there. Let that sit for a few minutes. While it's sitting, I'll give you a few tips. First tip is, if you wanted to have it real fine, like I told you before, use the toilet paper. if you want to recycle and you don't mind having it like a grayish color, you're gonna paint. I'm gonna paint this anyway. Use old newspaper. I like to use old newspaper because I love to recycle it. I don't want to throw it away. I feel always bad because here in Germany you get newspaper for free with about stories about the city I live in and stuff, what's going on. So I don't have to pay for it. So it's for free. So I use it. And toilet paper, it's not very expensive. I got a pack of 30 for only 4 or 5 euros. That's about $5 maybe. A lot of the things I get for my things I'm going to be using for my next few videos, I always have to look it up in the American Amazon to see if I can get it on the Amazon here in Germany. I always buy my stuff from Amazon. They have most likely the cheapest prices that you could find. See how easy that's breaking up? So again, I'm adding just a little bit more hot water. So I just wanted to, you can always rinse it all out later. I just want to show you how fast, see how fine that's becoming? It's so fast how it does it. And now I can use, once I know that all the paper is wet, to double check it. Be very careful if you use boiling water. I use just hot water from the faucet for this one here, but for the newspaper I use boiling water. Yeah, that's pretty good, I think. Oops. Oops. It's okay. So, as my other video that I made, I bought a very cheap hand blender. Like you see here. Now I start blending. It's a little hot, but you can see how fine that is. With the newspaper, it will take a lot longer to blend it, but I will try to make this a little bit more finer. So let's get the spoon. See how it looks. Make sure there's no big pieces. Is this a little bit more easier than newspaper? If, like I said, if you want finer clay, then that's what I would use. I would use toilet paper. Paper, you need to use the net, or you can use an old t-shirt. I would prefer to use white, especially if you're using toilet paper. And you need to squeeze out all the extra water that you can out of it. So let's pour this in. Just don't want to have it fall all over the place. 1 second. That should be fine. Nope, just one more piece. Yep, that's all. So put that aside for now. And what we need to do right now is, like I said, we need to squeeze out any extra. I use this because it's thin, easier to twist. And then when you can, wrap a spoon or whatever. It helps you be able to hold it better. And you'll see how much water actually comes out of it. Use my hand to squeeze it out from underneath. So let me pour the water out. And then maybe you can squeeze a little bit more and see how much more excess water comes out of it, and I'll show you how much actually does come out. I think that's pretty good. So this is the reason you need to actually squeeze the paper once it's been with the water put inside, so you can take out all the excess water. Very important. Now, you can put the paper back inside. I recommend if you can, before this net dries or the t-shirt that you use, wash it very well and then hang it up again to dry, because it'll get really hard if you don't. So here, still a little bit of water in it, you can see, but that's not so bad. That will absorb once you get the flour inside. So, next step, the other ingredients. Like I said, this is a 10-liter bucket. It's not very full. It's probably quarter or almost half. Take my wood glue, white wood glue. And you could say about maybe 2 cups or half the container. So if you see here what I have, it's a 760 grams. Use about half of that only. Let's empty out all of that in there. Mix that up well. Just like when I used it for the newspaper. You can mix it up by hand later once everything is mixed. You have to mix it just like as if you were making bread. You have to knead it very well. So, now we need salt. Helps prevent molding. Very important that you use the salt. You could say about, for this, about a cup of salt. And then about 3 to 4 cups of flour. When my children were very small, I used to work with them with a thing called Old Folk dough. And that is just water, salt, and flour mixed. And you can bake that in the oven. And you can make your own ornaments. It gets hot as rock, and it doesn't mold. Even though it's flour, it doesn't mold if you make the correct amount. So now I got my ingredients inside. Needs a good mixing. Make sure you get all the excess flour from everywhere. So what I do is, I like to use my hands. People put gloves on, but there's no need to. If you want this even more finer, I recommend that you use the blender until you notice how fine the mixture is for you. Make sure all of it's there. I can feel still there's a little too much water in there. Can you hear that? That's still a little bit too much water. So I need to add some more flour. I think I'll probably add at least 2 more cups of flour. And then probably a half a cup of salt. I think that's probably how much I have left. That's all that I have left. Yeah, it's getting better. Just like when you're making bread or pancakes, sometimes the flour needs to have a few minutes to actually expand. Like when you make a sauce, how thick it gets. A gravy. Just like I said, just like with bread, you need to mix very well. Now I got some newspaper in here. Didn't see that. That's alright, still paper. Doesn't matter. Mix it very well, and when you can tell when it's ready, when you squish it together, and you can actually make holes or make a nice mold. I didn't use my hand blender too much on the paper because I need this for bigger projects and I need the paper to be bigger. If you want, you can, like I said, use the blender a little bit longer until you get the how small you want the paper. Keep going as long as you want. But I think I still need a little more flour. It's still too much water in there. So altogether in this batch right now, I used 8 cups of flour. Sure, that should be enough now. And then I'll use just a little bit more salt. Don't want that to get any mold because I have to put it on a side until I finish with the other projects. If you put this, when you're done, and you put this in an airtight container away from heat in a cooled area, it should hold up to 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes 10. It all depends, like I said, in what area you put it in. Yeah, that's much better. Much, much better. We still gotta do some more flour here. like I said, you gotta keep mixing until you know everything is mixed very well together. Another tip, instead of using wood glue, you can use wall compound, hole filler, something that you can buy in little tubes or maybe in a container like this too, where you can actually putty that you can put on the wall. You can also mix that in here instead of the wood glue. I use wood glue because this one here is waterproof. Yeah, it's much better. It's not so wet anymore. And you see the difference. If you watch the other video, it is much different. It's better to work with. Another suggestion is, what you could do is, instead of mixing all the stuff right away, once you use the blender and you squeeze the excess water out of the paper, you can take that and put it in an airtight container or leave it open. If it dries up, it's fine, because all you need to do is add just a little bit of hot water to break it up again, but not so much work like you did before. And that holds much longer. If you said, okay, I won't need this until like next month, so okay, just do the thing with the blender first, take the water out and put it aside, and then add the other ingredients when you need it. That it gives you more time and gives you more leeway about when you need it and how long how long it can hold. See, this looks great. I mean, I can add more flour to it if I want. And that'll look even better. It's like I said, it's all up to you on how you want your clay. But I just suggest, please make sure it's not too much water in it, because one, it takes longer to dry. Like with my wings here, it's pretty thick on one end. So tonight, me and my husband has to pick it up and lay it next to the heater on the floor so the heat will dry it up quicker. But when, like I said, if just make sure that it's not too much water in it. Make sure you get all the water you can out of the paper when you're done blending it up. And this is all you have to do. This is a lot better. Maybe I should just add maybe some more flour, just to show you what it can look like. The more flour you add to it, it's still usable. I'll add 2 cups more. So that's 12 cups to this dough. Usually for every cup of flour you use 1/4 cup of salt. That's usually the recipe for it. But I already put extra salt in it. Do you want to miss any? I just love getting my hands dirty. I was always a tomboy when I was growing up. But now my children are grown up, I have grandchildren. So I have to find other hobbies or fun things to do with my grandchildren. See how much different it is? The more flour you put in, the more it's like hotter clay. It gets hotter, better forming. You see how that looks so nice. I love the color. And that's how you do paper clay out of toilet paper. Thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions or comments, please write it below. I would be glad to answer your questions and read your comments. And please subscribe. The button is also below. Watch out for my next video, and that will be about the bowl I made out of paper mache. I just painted it white. That was from the newspaper. I painted it white because the next video what I'm going to do is I'm going to do acrylic pour on it and make the designs with it. Like I see with some videos on paintings. I'm going to try that with this. So that will be my next video. Thank you for watching my video. Please comment or questions right below, and please subscribe.